literally operational there. And Trump has put this big mandate on him to do something more than that.
It is a ceremonial duty. You're absolutely right. And what we have been told is likely to happen is that he would go ahead and announce the winner, but also make some sort of statement trying to appease Trump, that in fact that he can understand why people are objecting to all of this. We have heard from his chief of staff saying as much so that he understands and realizes and feels the sympathy of many people who say this has to be contested, and so that he's going to try to essentially play it both ways. Chris.
Doesn't work. Strong and wrong is not going to get them where they want to be. Suzanne, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, let's bring in CNN's Joe Johns. He's keeping an eye on Trump for us. He was active late into the night and early into the morning.
He really was. He was looking at the results coming in, and as soon as it started looking more clear that the Democrats were getting ahead, the president immediately picked up on his previous line we've heard so many times, suggesting that there was fraud afoot. And of course, there apparently is not. Nonetheless, that's the president's story, and he is sticking to it. He also was tweeting about Mike Pence, the vice president, because as you just heard from Suzanne, he is going to preside over this event up on Capitol Hill. And we were told, actually, that he spoke to the president. But here's the president's tweet. If Vice President Mike Pence comes through for us, we will win the presidency. Many states want to decertify the mistake they made in certifying incorrect and even fraudulent numbers in a process not approved by their state legislatures, which it must be. He says Mike can send it back. Mike can't, number one. And there's plenty of other stuff there that's very hard to unravel, but basically untrue. Now to the backstory. The backstory is the president and Mike Pence actually met once again today, or last night, I should say. And Mike Pence, we're told the president of the United States he didn't have the power to decertify the election. This, of course, is something that the president disagrees with. The president also apparently heard about this from the New York Times, which first reported it, responded very quickly thereafter to say that, no. He and Mike Pence are on the same page. They're both in agreement that Mike Pence has the power to act. That certainly is not true. If both of them were on the same page, then both of them would be delusional, because the fact of the matter is, as you said, it's ministerial what the vice president is going to be doing today. Also, one other point, the president is expected to give a speech of sorts to some of his supporters who were in town. Apparently, some of the supporters you saw in the video out on the streets last night. And the president is also expected to talk about Mike Pence. There's some people suggesting he might go after Pence if Pence doesn't agree to do his bidding, though this speech is supposed to occur fairly early in the morning, so it's not clear that all the proceedings up on Capitol Hill will have been finished. Back to you.
All right, Joe Johns, another day to watch. Let's come here to the magic wall, my man John Berman, to figure out what the state of play is. Ossoff, David Perdue, now 16,000. You didn't circle it, but it just changed, you know.
That just changed. We're going to wait and find out where that vote just came in from, because honestly, as you were pointing,
you're supposed to circle
with that
this.
magic finger, you just created votes for Jon Ossoff. All right, let me show you where that came from.
Go ahead.
3,706 votes. Ossoff got 3,635. David Perdue got 71. Okay, so Ossoff took 98% of this latest batch of votes that we're seeing right now. So Jon Ossoff now leads, let's take this look here, because this is really important. He now leads by 16,000 votes, okay, which is more than Joe Biden won the state of Georgia by in the presidential race. He now leads by 0.4%. If he leads by 0.5% or more, it is outside the realm of where David Perdue can ask for a recount.
0.5 is a push to no recount or recount?
0.5, if David Perdue can keep it below 0.5.
So below, so 0.5.
Yeah, that's the outside margin. Okay. He can ask for a recount there. Jon Ossoff's lead keeps on growing. And we expect right now that it might very well. keep on growing. We just saw from DeKalb County, which has been the story of the night. This is where the most votes have come in over the last several hours, 95% reporting. He leads by 220,000 votes here. As more and more vote comes in from DeKalb, Jon Ossoff's lead keeps growing more and more.
And it's slow because they've had to go to hand feeding of the ballots into the machinery because they had some kind of technical problem. So it's taking longer, but you have a paper trail here for them to do it.
Let me show you why Democrats are enthused and think that the vote that does remain in the state, we have 98% in, will lead their way. This is the population. The blue dots, the bigger they are, the bigger the population in those areas. The red dots, the bigger they are, the bigger the population. Now, I can show you where there is still remaining vote. We're not talking about a lot here. I'm talking about, let's move this up to 97 if I can.
You don't have the magic finger.
Uh-oh.
You do not have the magic finger.
Uh-oh.
Now what happened?
Just give me a second, because this is worth it. I've been working all night to give you this one little toy here. So we're going to break it down just a little bit. We'll take what we get. Let's show 94. Okay, but you can see where there is still vote remaining at this point. It's in these major population areas. It's around Atlanta, mostly. So that's where the vote still remains at this point to be counted. I have another way of looking at it right now, which I think actually might help us out a little bit more. Look at the counties where we still have vote to count. Chatham County, which is where Savannah is. We still have 3,000 votes to count. Jon Ossoff is getting nearly 60% of the vote there. So if he gets 60% of 3,000, he builds his margin. Around Atlanta, this is really the key area. Fulton County, where Metro Atlanta is, there's still about 4,000 votes. Jon Ossoff's getting 71%. Again, if he gets 71% of the 4,000 votes, he will expand his lead even more. DeKalb County, we're talking about that. He can expand his lead there. Gwinnett County. Now, he's not doing as well in Gwinnett as he is in DeKalb. He's at about 60% there. There's 4,800 votes left in Gwinnett. He can expand his lead more. So again, there's just so much more opportunity for Jon Ossoff than there is for David Perdue. I'll show you a couple of the big Republican counties in the state. Forsyth, where you can see David Perdue enjoyed a big lead, but 99% reporting. The same for Cherokee County, the other big county that David Perdue won. Yeah, he won 70% of the vote, but 99% is in. So at this point, Jon Ossoff has much more room to expand his vote than David Perdue does.
So most of the vote has come in since we began tonight at midnight. DeKalb has moved the needle considerably for Jon Ossoff. There was this number that you probably heard if you've been watching the coverage tonight that they were waiting on about 19,000 votes from DeKalb County. That number has been slowly going down as we've been watching it in real time, but there's still a ways to go.
We think there's a few thousand left in DeKalb County, and what we don't know is how much mail-in ballot that may have arrived yesterday by 7 o'clock might be there. I hear the peanut gallery, Harold.
The peanut gallery, I'm jumping in right here. Look, based upon what we know that there's vote by mail that's still out. And what's so important, I just keep emphasizing this, is the vote by mail in any individual county will run more Democratic than the overall result in those counties.
Why?
Why? Because Democrats voted by mail and the Republican president of the United States bashed voting by mail. That's why. And so what we're going to see, if in fact there is that vote by mail that I believe is still out there, that Kristen Holmes was suggesting that there still was, this margin's going to expand. And at this particular point, outside of vote tabulation error in the counting, I just don't see it. Look, we have to count those votes. There are still plenty of them out there. But at this particular point, it's pretty clear where that midnight train to Georgia's going.
And let me just tell you, right now, you look at Jon Ossoff with 83% of the vote in DeKalb County, but that last batch of votes we just received, he was getting, I'm going to draw this, is that big. He got 98% of the vote that was just counted in DeKalb. Why? Because it's the early vote, the mail-in vote, which skews even more heavily Democratic than the already Democratic county.
It also fuels the conspiracy theories that the numbers are so big. The other guy's getting 60 votes, 70 votes. He's getting 3,000. I mean, look, it's internet chatter. But remember, that's who our president is, and that's who his people are.
It's a load of hooey.
Is their internet chatter.
It's a load of hooey. Look, Forsyth County, 60, he gets 70%. You go up to some of these other counties, and Republicans pull huge numbers. Huge numbers. 78% of the vote up there, 80% of the vote up there. It's just the way the vote is distributed around the state. You don't hear Democrats saying there's no way David Perdue could get 82% of the vote in Fannin County. Yeah, there is, because more Republicans live there. It's just the way that the vote is divided up in the state.
Hey, John, Harry, what about military overseas ballots? Enough there to make up a difference for...
Okay. This is what we know about the military vote and overseas ballots. They can be received until Friday. There are 17,000 possible, and this is important. There were 17,000 military and overseas ballots that were requested that have not been returned yet. We don't know if they will return 17,000 by Friday. In fact, it's highly likely they'll get nowhere near 17,000 votes total, right? And then we don't know how those votes will divide. They won't go 17,000 for one candidate, 0 for the other. They'll likely be split depending on what part of the state they come from. But again, 17,000 is the maximum number that you can get of that vote, and it's likely to be much less than that.
If David Perdue is relying on military votes, he's in a world of trouble. The military votes theoretically could really close this, but in reality, it ain't happening.
Well, look, here's what we do know in reality. We've watched DeKalb County change this race for Jon Ossoff tonight. He's not out of recount territory yet. He is on the verge of it. And by the way, a recount doesn't mean the outcome's going to change. It just means it will take longer, and it's another step in the process. But, you know, we've watched them come in. Literally, I was pointing at a number ready to say 12,000.
You're still taking credit for that. You're still taking credit for that.
Changed to 16,000. This is happening in the middle of the night because they're still working and still counting. So let's take a break. When we come back, we will give you the latest update on where things stand. It is going to make a huge difference in the next presidency. Oh, yeah. I'll just keep pointing at it. Maybe we'll get some more numbers. Stay with us.